Okay, so here we are once again with another DC Multiverse unboxing. Let me wait until I know I'm up on the screen before I go any further with this. But you can tell if you can see me right now, you can tell what I've got to open up for you. So I've been looking forward to this one for a while. So today is my birthday. And like every year, I like to open up something a little special on my birthday. Oh, Toy Bonnie is here and says, "Talk to you later. I'll be back." Well, cool. Hopefully, I'll be here when you get back. But yeah, today is my birthday, uh, and I wanted to open up something. Oh, thank you. I wanted to open up something a little special, and I've got this guy here, which I had uh, some extra PayPal money, and I decided to go ahead and splurge and pick this guy up on eBay because I'd wanted this one for a while, and it was impossible to find in the stores. Never saw him in the stores, and I think it might have even been like a Target. This doesn't say gold label on it, but I think it might have been a Target exclusive. It wasn't well distributed, whatever it was, and even then, there's a platinum version of this. So, which is the Superman red variant in the all red outfit, and he comes with different heads. So you can see that this one comes with. This is, oh, by the way, in case I hadn't said, this is the Strange Lives of Superman. This is number 39 in the Mcfarlane Collector Edition. And you can see he comes with a lion head and an extra set of lion paws for hands and the standard Superman fists and two other heads, which is the regular Superman head and the big brain Superman head. So this is kind of like an homage to the early Silver Age when they did all these weird transformations of Superman. Actually, I think the Alfred E. Newman head he's wearing a mask. Some of these are red kryptonite. Like I'm pretty sure this one was red kryptonite. It might have been Cersei though. I don't remember. It's been a while since I read that story. It's got a really nice bit in that story where like Superman is like entertaining some orphan kids at a circus, and he's supposed to appear there, as Superman, but his head's been turned into a lion. So he's like, I can't appear there like this, but I can't let the kids down either. So he does a trick where he puts his head through a curtain so it just looks like a regular lion's head, and he tells the kids that they can come up and pet the lion because like, oh, Superman promises it'll be safe if you go up there and pet this lion, and Superman said he's going to make sure you're all safe, and so all the kids get to pet the lion, and they're sticking their head in the lion's mouth and all this kind of stuff. I don't know, it's Superman. It really is Superman. But Kurt Swan was my favorite Superman artist as a kid growing up, and he's still my favorite Superman artist. And he was the guy who drew Superman. He was like the main Superman from like maybe like the later part of the 1950s all the way through the 1980s when John Byrne took over the book. But Kurt Swan, that's one of those versions of Superman that is just pretty special to me. I've talked about Kurt Swan's Superman before. I might still have this figure over here on this couch somewhere. There he is. This figure I particularly like because I thought the head sculpt was very much a Kurt Swan type Superman head sculpt. But this is more like a 1980s Kurt Swan. This is what I remember Superman looking like in the comics when I was a kid. This is drawn to look a little bit more like how, or sculpted to look a bit more like how Swan drew Superman in the early 60s. Now, the funny thing is, while this is definitely a Swan penciled image, or at least like, copying a Swan penciled image, that's a very distinctive Swan Superman flying style. The inking to me on that almost looks more like Neil Adams. If you look at the way his face is, with the kind of squintier eyes and the heavier eyebrows, that looks more like a Neil Adams Superman to me. And a lot of the ink work looks, kind of Adams-ish, kind of Dick Giordano maybe they jammed on this one. I don't know, but it's not. What I'm saying is this is not actually an image of Superman that would be era appropriate. They probably should have gone more for like an image where he was Swan was inked by George Klein. This again is more like the later era of Superman, like I was talking about. This would have been around this time, like the late 70s, early 80s, like that. And Adams was doing a lot of the merchandising work for DC at that time. So anyway, I'm really excited about this figure. Like I said, I had to get them on eBay, and I had to pay a little extra for it because I got it on eBay. It was like not a whole lot more, maybe like $10 more than it would have cost at retail. And I do wish I could have got them a little bit cheaper, but it to me, this figure I think is going to be worth it. Oh, I almost forgot. Hang on a second. I can reach it. Oh, okay. All right. Here we go. So I got the Godzilla Superman figure, which you might remember from a while back. You might remember my unboxing of the Superman versus Godzilla set, and you might have seen my short where I talked about how I customized this figure a little bit and improved it. So one of the things that I did is this Superman figure did not have his belt loops painted in, so I painted in his belt loops. And then I did not like the head sculpt that was on there, so I just swapped it out for one of these extra Christopher Reeve heads that I had. And I thought, that's a good Superman figure right there. Of course, now I've got the new Christopher Reeve box set, so I've got an even wider selection of Christopher Reeve heads to pop on here if I want to. Or, since it looks like the colors on these match up pretty well, I could probably swap the Kurt Swan head on here and leave the lion head on this one, or put the lion head on the other one. There's all kinds of things I could do. I already cut that. What am I doing? I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's go ahead and open them up. My birthday present to myself. All right. And I went to visit my mom yesterday, and me and my mom and my sister, we watched Flash Gordon, some of my favorite movies of all time. And we watched the first couple of episodes of the 1966 Batman television series. That was a lot of fun. And yesterday was also the 10th anniversary of the theatrical release of another one of my favorite movies of all time, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. And I was thinking it might be fun to watch that, but I wound up not having time to do that yesterday. So I might do that sometime soon. And I also really wanted to watch at some point today, maybe I'll get around to watching it, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, in which Captain James T. Kirk, it's his 50th birthday. So I'm kind of relating to Captain Kirk right about now. Admiral Kirk, I should say. He was Admiral Kirk in that movie. All right, so here we got the it's an old school with the Rebirth era DC logo on it. Oddly enough, this is one I would have definitely preferred to have the 1970s style logo on there, since, like I said, this is the Superman of my childhood. Even that would have been like technically too late. For this should be the Superman DC logo that they used throughout the 50s and 60s. Really, that should be the one we have. And here's the trading card with the same artwork we have on the back, montage of there's some Kurt Swan art in here, and I believe the ones at the bottom, I think the ones at the top are Kurt Swan. Definitely old big head here is Kurt Swan. I'm not sure about Mummy Head. He might have done the Alfred E. Newman one too, but I think that maybe Wayne Boring did the Lionhead one. I don't know, because I know Wayne Boring did the interiors on that one. He did the actual story. So Wayne Boring being another one of the great Superman artists, he was drawing Superman artists from like the golden age. He was drawing Superman comics, I should say. but he was working for Joe Shuster at his studio, and that was how he got his start. And by the time that sadly Schuster was unceremoniously removed from the book, Wayne Boring was basically the main Superman artist after that, at least until Kurt Swan came along. I think that Boring was kind of considered old hat by the time that Kurt Swan got there, and they were probably looking to freshen things up a bit. So they brought in Swan, who had a more realistic sort of style than Boring had. And he had the gig of being the main Superman artist until, ironically, I kind of, these things come around and go around, and then I think they figured Swan was kind of been there, done that. We need to get someone new and fresh in here, so they got John Byrne. But John Byrne left on his own terms. He wasn't happy with how he was being treated, apparently. So let's go ahead and get these rubber tabs clipped out of here, and we'll get our feline Superman out of this box. King of the Jungle Superman. The Superman that sounds suspiciously like James Earl Jones. And I mentioned before when I opened the Godzilla figure, and this is pretty much the same colors as the Godzilla figure. I really like the colors on this figure. And I suspect this is one of those things where Mcfarlane does this sometimes, I notice, where you'll see figures come out that are like similar colors to each other, and I think maybe they run them through the factory at the same time because it's cheaper that way. I suspect that that's what happened with this guy and the Godzilla 2-pack, because those did come out around the same time. That should show you how long I've been looking for this figure. If you remember how far back I opened up that Godzilla 2-pack. And hey, I got Godzilla back there on the back of the couch. So it's almost like a reunion. And before I get too into talking about the figure, I want to read the trading card, but I got the figure out of the package now, so we can get a better look at that. And we can talk about some of the similarities and some of the differences between this and the Godzilla 2-pack. Before we do anything else, though, let's read the back of the trading card before we forget. So yeah, there's the front of the trading card. That's what the back of the trading card looks like. And it reads, Superman, Strange Lives of Superman. Real name, Kal-El Clark Kent. Superman is the world's greatest hero. He is a tireless champion, dedicated to protecting life and battling injustice, not only in his city of Metropolis, but also his adopted world and across the universe. With his fantastic powers and abilities, fueled by alien cells, which hyper-efficiently process the solar energy of Earth's yellow sun, Superman is an unstoppable force for good and a steadfast punisher of evil. Superman is a founding member of the Justice League and an inspiration for countless other superheroes in the 31st century and beyond. So, a rather generic bio on Superman, and I think that it probably could have. There's probably stuff in here that I think they could have included that, they don't really mention, him being Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper and that kind of thing. I kind of figure if you're just going to do a generic bio of Superman, just do the one from the Adventures of Superman television series. Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. That whole thing. But it's not a bad bio. It's just I think it could have been better. I'm being real about it. All right, so let's talk about the accessories that came with this figure. And really, the accessories are just kind of, like I said, alternate parts for our figure. So we got the 2 fist hands, which I'm not really too huge a fan of fist hands on most characters, but they tend to be my preferred hands for Superman. Because Superman, he's not usually going to have any kind of weapons or accessories or anything like that. he's usually just gonna he doesn't really need any. He's Superman. So you know, Superman with the solid fist is usually good for me. And then he's got you can see on the figure, he's got the lion paws and the lion head. That's what comes on him by default. And then his other alternate heads, you got the main Superman head, and then you got the bulbous, big brain future Superman head. And there aren't any extra hands for this figure, but I kind of feel like, even though I'm not really a big fan of like the open hands that generally come with this body sculpt, I feel like they would have been appropriate for this guy, because he was supposed to. One of the things is like he was supposed to have kind of long, spindly fingers in his future form, and I don't know if that really came across in the artwork, to be honest. But I think those hands would look good if you were to have Superman with the big head on your shelf posed like this kind of thing. I think that would have been very appropriate. And then last but not least, the main reason I wanted this set in the first place is the classic Kurt Swan Superman head. And it does I wish they had a good image of this early Silver Age Superman on there, so you can see what a good job they did of translating that. But yeah, they did a good job of getting that into 3 dimensions, and you can see he's got a little more character to his face than normally we think of Superman as having these days. He was drawn to look, I think, a little older back in the old days. And you can see like the hairline even is a little higher. He's got kind of a Craig T. Nelson thing going on, like Mr. Incredible almost. So yeah, and then the lion head itself, I can see why they decided to have this be the head that was displayed on the package, because like there's a lot of good detail to it, a lot of good paint detail, a lot of good sculpting. And look at this. This is a funny thing here. He even has the little Superman curl coming out of his lion's mane. That's pretty funny. All right, so let's pop the head off here, and then we'll pop on the other Superman. He'll get the hands off too. Take off the lion paws. They did do a good job on all this stuff. I'll say this. DC Direct back in like I think the early 2000s, they actually did a figure, and I think maybe this was almost kind of like a deliberate homage to that one, like a Silver Age Kurt Swan Superman, and it came with like I think even more heads. Like I think it came with the ant head also, but I'm pretty sure it came with the big brain head and the lion head. Those being like 2 of the most famous transformations Superman went through. The ant head, oh damn, I dropped the big head. The ant head is one that's always fondly remembered. I've never actually read that story, but the cover is really famous, with Superman leading like an army of ants up the top of the Daily Planet building to conquer it, because it's made him into a bad guy. So here he is with the classic Superman head. And we're going to get a look at him with the big brain head. And these are clearly supposed to be the same face, but I don't know if it's in the sculpt or if it's just in the paint. But you can see that the future Superman has a much more intense expression on his face. Like the eyes are really intense there, whereas like the standard Silver Age Superman, he looks a little more calm, a little more restrained, and this guy just like, Earthlings, you are doomed. I am the future Superman with my highly advanced brain, that kind of thing. So I'm going to pull that back off again. So again, going back to the Godzilla Superman figure, you can see that the colors match up almost exactly. It's the same shade of blue, same shade of red, same flesh color even. He's got that same shade of Caucasian flesh. It's You could swap out the heads on these if you wanted to. And like I said, Christopher Reeve's head fits on this one just fine, so you can put him on there if you wanted to. Now, other than that, this guy actually had belt loops right out of the box, which that's good. That means I don't have to paint any belt loops on there. And his emblem also is a little bit smaller. You see that? In the border around the S is a little bit thicker. This one, to me, I think they were going for like an Alex Ross kind of look, which made me really wish they had just reused the Kingdom Come head that they already had on here, and then it would have been a perfect Alex Ross Superman. I can only imagine maybe they were planning, hopefully still are planning, to just have an Alex Ross, like a standard Alex, not Kingdom Come, but the standard Alex Ross Superman in its own package. But yeah, the emblem on this guy is a little smaller, and that makes sense because Superman's emblem wasn't drawn quite as large back then, and that's, I think, appropriate in terms of size. But you guys ought to know by now, I'm a stickler for Superman's emblem. This is not how Superman's emblem was drawn in the early Silver Age like that. The shield would have had like a little more of a curve on either of the lower two sides, a little more like a shield actually. But this is more that sort of logo perfect. I suspect Milton Glazier designed this. I could be mistaken, but it seems like it started to pop up when he was doing work at DC for Jeanette Kahn, and he designed the 1970s DC logo like I'm talking about. But yeah, this is you see this on a lot of merchandise. This is when you see a Superman emblem on the merchandise, this is usually what it is. And honestly, this is my favorite Superman emblem to see on Superman action figures in most cases. But I feel like they should have gone with a little bit more of a period accurate S on this particular figure. This is just me nitpicking though. I can imagine most people just not having a problem with this at all, but this is just me as like a hardcore Superman comic book fan, especially one who considers Kurt Swan to be his favorite Superman artist. But you can kind of see what I'm talking about on some of these images, where see like the bottom part of it's a little more roundish. It's not quite as straight. You see what I'm talking about? But anyway, it's not going to ruin the figure for me. Like I said, I'm just nitpicking. And he does have a wired cape, folks. We got a wired cape on this guy, and that's good because it's this short little cape. And the reason he has this short cape on the figure is because Superman was drawn with a fairly short cape in the comics at the time. I was talking about Wayne Boring. This is a very Wayne Boring sort of Superman cape. And Wayne Boring almost always, even if he was indoors, drew Superman's cape just billowing out all dramatically like that. It's like, I don't think he cared whether it was realistic or not. He just, that's just how he liked to draw it. He thought it looked cool. That's how he did it. And didn't give a damn if it was realistic or not. But yeah, it's a very, and having him pose like this, like it's not the arms akimbo kind of pose like you typically think of Superman as having, but it is a very Silver Age sort of Superman pose. Like, but we can get him in the arms akimbo. We've done this before with this particular Superman body. I mean, that's your classic Superman right there. That's a Wayne Boring. That's a Kurt Swan. That's an Al Plastino. That's the guy they were drawing in like the 50s and 60s. That's that version of Superman. So, like where he's kind of like in that sort of post-war era, And Swan was not a guy to rest on his laurels. I'll say that. Like, it's probably one of the reasons why he's one of my absolute favorite Superman artists, but one of my favorite comic book artists in general. Is like when you see his stuff in the 80s, like he still is kind of trying to push himself and kind of trying to evolve and trying to draw Superman in a way where it feels a little more contemporary. He's not still drawing Superman to look the same as he looked in the 1960s. Like I said, to me, action figure wise, Like this one looks more like the Kurt Swan of the 80s. This one looks more like the Kurt Swan of the 50s and 60s. So like but they're both kind of Kurt Swanish to me. I don't know if the skin colors match up exactly or not, but you could maybe even swap around these heads. I think that might work. I don't know. I think this one's slightly more tan and this one's slightly more pink. But I guess it depends on how it looks to your own eye. But yeah, this Superman has what I think is kind of like the ideal cape length for Superman. If we extend it all the way, you can see it kind of reaches to like the top of his boots in the back. So it's just kind of all red down. That to me is the perfect length of Superman's cape. Not too long, not too short, just right. And that's how Kurt Swan again was drawing it in the 1980s. But in the 60s, like I said, they were drawing his cape to be a bit shorter, and it didn't even quite come down to his knees, as you can see. I think that was something I was talking about with the Earth 2 Superman figure, and how I felt like that one should have. That one probably should have had a shorter cape than what it had. This would have been a good cape length for an Earth 2 Superman. So, like I said, I've been over this body type many times before, but let's go ahead and talk about the articulation anyway, because there might be some new viewers catching this video for the first time on my channel. We might want to go ahead and indulge them. So let's see. Superman can look up about that far, and that's good because you want Superman to be able to look up pretty far for his flying poses. Superman can look down about that far, kind of tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. Of course, the arms rotate all the way around the shoulders, and they've got that really nice Mcfarlane butterfly joint there. So it's got a lot of good wiggle room to it. Superman has a bicep swivel, so the bicep does rotate all the way around. He's got double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. Probably even a little bit more, but it seems like it's a little stiff on mine. If we look at the Godzilla figure, I might be able to do a little better with it. Yeah, see. And again, this is the same body, so it's just kind of stiff. It's that new action figure stiffness. The slight stiffness in the shoulder. My James Bond peeps know what I'm talking about. All right, so he's got the cool Mcfarlane wrist articulation, which means you can pretty much move this wrist around any which way you want to. It's got a hinge in the middle, and then it rotates where the wrist meets the fist and where the wrist meets the forearm. So you can move this wrist around any which way you want to. I love the Mcfarlane wrist articulation. I was saying that was going to be something I was going to really miss when Mattel took over, but it looks like Mattel worked Mcfarlane wrist articulation into that Masters of the Universe Chronicles Scareglow. So I'm guessing we're going to see that in their DC figures as well. Superman has mid-torso articulation that can move back and forth that far, frontwards and backwards that far, rotate all the way around where the rib cage meets the abs, rotate all the way around where the abs meet the waist, and that's got some back and forth to it too. Great articulation there. This is a body that I believe I've mentioned many times before. I believe that this was actually sculpted to resemble an Alex Ross Superman, the way that he draws Superman's costume, and it works really well for the more old school figures, especially. I think if you had like a Golden Age or a Silver Age Superman, this is the perfect body for that too. They used it for the Fleischer Superman cartoons, and I think that and obviously that was the stuff that influenced Alex Ross. That was the stuff that he was building on when he was doing his Superman design. So of course, obviously, he's his type of Superman is going to be perfect for that. So Superman can kick forward about that far, and he's got like a little bit of wobble here, not a whole lot, but enough that you can at least get a little bit of posing out of it. Superman's got double jointed knees. That's about the range of motion you get at the knees. There's no boot cut, but that's no problem with this guy because he's got that kind of cool Mcfarlane ankle articulation. Of course, now the knee is stuck. That's weird. It moved when I bent it back, but now it's wanting to be stiff when I'm trying to move it back forward. That's unusual. So, be careful with that. Anyway, as I was saying, even though he doesn't have a boot cut, he's got the cool Mcfarlane ankle articulation. So it rotates all the way around where the ankle meets the shin, rotates all the way around where the ankle meets the foot. And then if I can get it back in the right position, the foot can point down about that far. The foot can point up about that far. And then he's got toe articulation just to show off. Man, this is a great figure. And it's not a surprise to me at all that this is a great figure, because like I said, I've opened up several Superman figures. Like, see, here's the so-called Silver Age one. It looks more Bronze Age to me, but whatever. This is a Silver Age Superman. This is a Bronze Age Superman. Know the difference. But it's okay, because I love Bronze Age. Like I said, Bronze Age is the one I grew up with. And just like this one, I think they did a really good job of catching the Kurt Swan style in the face. This one, I think they did a perfect job of catching the Jose Luis Garcia Lopez style. Camille Medea is here and says, hi, Alan. Hi to you. It's good to see you again. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much of the stream you caught, but today is my birthday. So this is my special birthday figure. He says, I'm glad you're happy with the figure. I am very happy with this figure. So yeah, to me, it's good to just have a nice early Silver Age type of Superman figure. It's I think one of the best eras of the Superman comics, and it was definitely a fun era, and it resulted in a lot of the mythology that we know today. Like a lot of great villains showed up around this time, like Brainiac, Bizarro. Those guys first appeared. The Fortress of Solitude first appeared during this time period. Kandor first appeared during this time period. Supergirl first appeared during this time period. You had a lot of great imaginary stories like Death of Superman, Superman Red, Superman Blue. Lot of really cool stuff was happening in Superman comics at this time. It was right after they finally finished the Adventures of Superman television show. Sadly, with the tragic death of George Reeves. But, now that the Superman show wasn't on the air, they didn't feel the need to try to match up with the show and the comic books anymore. So they could really go crazy with their imaginations and do all kinds of like just weird, wacky, wild stuff with Superman as a character. And some of it was kind of ridiculous, but in like the best possible way, And hey, since I got Crypto over here, we might as well get a shot of Superman with Crypto, since he's a Silver Age character too, but he came from the Superboy comic books technically, but he appeared in plenty of Superman comics too. So yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite eras of the character in the comic book. I'd say like I really like the Bronze Age. I really like the post-crisis era. I really like what they call the Triangle era, where like they were running all the stories. All the comics were supposed to be telling one long narrative. So they had a little triangle with a number to tell you what order it went in for the month. And that was a lot of fun. That was where the 90s Death of Superman happened. Not to be confused with the Silver Age Death of Superman, completely different story. Since I was just talking about that. But yeah, I love that era. But this was a kind of an era that I feel like was really special. And a lot of the things that we love about Superman came from that early Silver Age time period. So it's definitely a good version of Superman to have represented. If I can only pick one Superman figure to be my default Superman, and this was one of them, he'd definitely be one that I would consider. But like I kind of feel like this one would have been my perfect Superman figure if they hadn't have put the black outline around the emblem. I know I'm being particular about it. But I like when it's just the yellow on the red on the yellow, like that, and it doesn't have the black outline on it. I prefer that. That's just me personally. But as it is right now, I think my favorite McFarlane Superman figure is, not to toot my own horn, but the Godzilla figure that I adjusted and made better. I got rid of that awful head and I put on some belt loops, and now he's perfect. Although I might try some of the other Christopher Reeve heads on him once I open up that figure. And but yeah, I really like that. You know what I'm gonna do right now? I'm gonna do this for the thumbnail. Is I'm gonna take this head off of here, and I'm gonna take these hands off of here, and I'm gonna put the lion head and paws on this figure for now. So when I can take the thumbnail, that way when I take the thumbnail picture, I can have the lion head and the classic Superman head together. But I'm not going to leave these on here like this. So it's too bad that like this was a figure that wasn't very well distributed, and it's not going to be cost effective for me to buy multiple of these. If these had been a figure that was easy to find, I probably would have been really glad to have bought 3 of these and have all three of the variant heads displayed. But it just wasn't feasible with the way that this figure was poorly distributed, unfortunately. So, but anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure. And YouTube likes it when I say like and subscribe, so I like to say like and subscribe. I like it when you leave comments, so please leave a comment and let me know what you think of the Strange Lives of Superman. Personally, like I said, I wish this figure had been easier to find, and I would have loved to have had the red Superman variant, Superman Red, I guess I should say, especially with the Alfred E. Newman head. That one probably would have been my favorite of all the heads, because I am I'm a big fan of Mad Magazine too. I grew up with it. That's a lot of my humor came from Mad Magazine, honestly. You can give the credit and or blame to Mad Magazine for that. But I would have loved to have that Alfred E. Newman head for the Superman figures also. But the lion head's really cool. I like the lion head. And the big future head is fine. The Mummy Superman head would have been fine too. I would have liked to have had that one also. But yeah, I think if I had it in hand, the Alfred E. Newman head would have been my favorite. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye.